So you found your dream home. You've gone through hundreds of listings, talked to a bunch of agents, and now you found the one property that you really want. Now, what do you do next? How do you go through the property purchase process and get that property in your name? Let's go have a look. Hello everyone, welcome back to Think Turkey. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about the property purchasing process and buying real estate in Turkey, or what is officially known as Turkey. So number one is getting a bank account. First of all, before you do anything, as soon as you land in Turkey, you will need a bank account in your name. And to get that, you will need a tax number. So for getting these things in order, your consultant or lawyer, whoever is on the ground assisting you, will help you get these two processes done. In order to get a bank account, they'll ask you for your passport and a tax number. Whoever is helping you on the ground will assist you in getting the tax number and going through the bank account process with you. Sometimes the banks also ask you for a utility bill for an address proof from your home country. So if you're traveling for the purposes of buying property, make sure that you have your utility bill with you in your suitcase, just in case if the bank asks for it, like your gas, electricity bill, any sort of bill that has your address on it. Could be an internet bill as well. So just make sure that you have that with you. As soon as your bank account is set up, you should do a test transfer for a small amount, like $100 to $200, just to see how the transfer goes through, if there's any hiccups in the middle, how long that transfer takes. So I've seen it take approximately hours to days. So it really varies from bank to bank, from which country the bank is from which bank that you have registered your account in Turkey. So there's a lot of factors at play. So it's always good to do a test run as soon as your bank is set up. Initiate a wire transfer from your bank in your home country to your bank in Turkey, so that we can see what is the time frame that it takes. If there's any issues, any other further information the bank is asking for, so we have that first trial run done and smooth and straightened out. You don't want to be holding up the deal of the purchase after you've done all the negotiations and then the funds are not ready to go, because that can create some doubts in the owner's mind, and the owner may want to, sell it to somebody else, change their mind. They may just not want to sell the property altogether. I mean, it's a very sensitive process of buying and selling real estate. So the more easier you can make it for both parties, for yourself and for the other party, the smoother the transaction happens and everything just goes more easily and it goes in your favor. So that's step number one. Have the banking setup done and do a test run to make sure everything's working fine. The next thing you need to do is, after you have gone on your viewings, you've seen a bunch of properties, you've kind of refined, and you're looking at one or two properties seriously, you need to have your due diligence done. Have your lawyer or consultant do the appropriate due diligence on that property. Now, we have an in-house checklist for due diligence, which includes a number of things. It includes everything from basically talking to the neighbors to see what's going on in this neighborhood, what type of neighborhood it is, what type of area it is, learning the information, doing that background check on that. From talking to the neighbors about the area, about the property in question, to checking the zoning plans for that area and around that area for the next 5 to 10 years. What's happening in this region? What's happening in this neighborhood? Are they building another apartment building in front of your villa, in front of your sea view villa? Now you don't have a sea view anymore. So looking at many things that are in question, right? Are they building a school very close to your property? So that creates other things like noise and there's kids. I mean, it may be a good thing, it may be a bad thing. So having that knowledge will always put you in a better position of whether it's negotiating, whether it's foregoing the property, or even potentially quickly closing on that deal, because it's an opportunity that you see, maybe the others haven't, they don't see that yet. So that's the key point. Next thing is, this may sound obvious to you, but checking the title deed. A lot of people forget about checking the title deed for liens on the title deed. Is there any ipotek in Turkish, right? So if there's any holds that have been put against the title deed by the banks or any financial institutions, right? So if that has happened, then now if you purchase it with a lien on it, now you are liable for those payments and that lien, right? So that is an important one. Oh, and don't forget, lastly, to check whether the title deed actually belongs to the property. And I know this may sound very straightforward, but a lot of times in the heat of the moment and in the excitement of the moment, our buyers forget to check the actual details of the title deed and the property and matching the two, right? You're looking at a 4-bedroom apartment, penthouse, and that's what you think you're buying. And next thing you know, you end up buying a 2-bedroom basement apartment in the same building. So matching the owner's information, the owner's identification with the information on the title deed, making sure the actual person that you're talking to, the owner, is the person listed on the title deed, and those two things are matching as well. So you need to double check on this. And that's rule number 2, getting your due diligence done from professionals that you trust. Now, the third item is property appraisals. All real estate purchases must have a property appraisal report done by a licensed, authorized firm. And there's only 149 authorized firms in Turkey that do this. And most of them are in Istanbul and Ankara, and the rest are sort of spread out in other major cities. This report does take a little bit of time, so you need to take that into account when you are coming to buy property. This will take 3 to 10 days, anywhere between 3 to 10 days. Again, we have done this in shorter time frames where required, but please plan accordingly and get this done. Put this into your schedule that it will take anywhere between 3 to 10 days to get this report, depending on how busy the firm is, the firm that you choose, how busy they are, and if they can get somebody out to the site to do that in time. So the lawyer or consultant that you're working with will get the firm for you, will arrange the firm for the report. Ideally, they'll get all that done for you, so you won't have to go and worry about picking the firm and stuff. So they will know which firms are doing that and what the timelines are like in that region. The cost for this report is anywhere between 1,500 to 2,000 Turkish liras, depending on the property size and type of property that you're dealing with. Once you have the property appraisal report, you can then get an appointment from the title deed office to actually conduct the exchange and transfer the title deed in your name. So now number 4 is the money transfer. So before you actually go to the title deed office and get into the line, you need to have the money transfer situation sorted out, and the plan needs to be sorted out. What are you going to do with the money? How it's going to take place between the owner of the property and you? How is that transfer going to happen? So the first part of the money transfer is you transferring the money from your home country bank to the bank here. So ideally, this will be done prior to you actually even getting close to the buying of the property. So it will already be in Turkey. The money should ideally be in Turkey already. So that way you're not waiting extra time and you're not losing a potential property because the money is not ready to go. So if you're serious and if you are looking to get the best deal possible and looking to get the best opportunities, you should have the money already transferred in your bank in Turkey. And you should transfer the money. So how do you transfer the money? So the money transfer should be done in currencies that are hard currencies, known as hard currencies, which is things like US dollars, euros, British pounds. So these type of currencies are known as hard currencies. They don't fluctuate that much. So you would ideally be doing this transfer in these type of currencies. Also, this avoids the issue of exchange rate and fluctuating exchange rate. So when you transfer money from your US dollar account to your Turkish lira account, again, the bank automatically converts that into Turkish liras, and then you end up paying a lot of exchange rate, paying in exchange rate fees. So what you need to do is have a US dollar account, whatever currency it is that you're transferring, a pound or euros, in Turkey, and also so that way that your money, if abroad, where it's in dollars or in pounds and euros, that way you can transfer that as a one-to-one transaction, and there will be fees deducted on the way, but not that much. You won't lose a lot. You'll make the minimal damage in that scenario. You'll get the minimum fees will be deducted in that case. Once the money is in your bank and you've got your eyes on the property, everything is done, you've paid your deposit, whatever it is the case is, and now it's time to pay the owner. Right now, recently there has been a new regulation that has passed. You might have heard of this, that the property sales by foreigners has to take place in Turkish liras. So you cannot transfer money to the owner directly in foreign currency, in dollars or pounds and euros. It needs to be done in Turkish liras. So how is the government following up on this on the ground? They're asking for a certificate from the bank for the exchange of that foreign currency to Turkish liras. So once you have the money in your Turkish bank account, you have to convert that to to the local currency, to Turkish liras, and get a certificate, exchange certificate from the bank. They will issue you that. They're aware of this regulation, and they will issue you a certificate. Get that hard copy from the bank. So physically go to the bank and get that hard copy from them. And with this, when you go to your appointment at the title deed office, you will need to present this document to them. So once the money is converted, the funds have been converted to Turkish liras. Now you can transfer from Turkish liras to Turkish lira account of the owner. So that will be a direct transfer. And now they have that Turkish liras in their account. So that's done. Now that it varies how you do this transaction. Some people do part of it is done via online transfer, and the remaining is paid in cash the day that you're actually going physically to the title deed office. Or it's done, or all of it is done online, or you could use a other option, which I'll talk about later, just right after this. Actually, let me just mention it right now. So the other option is what is called tapu takas option. So what does that mean? Tapu, it means title deed. Takas means to exchange. So when you're exchanging when the exchange happens, the transfer of the title deed happens. So there is a service that is, has been around for a while, but just hasn't been so popular. But now foreigners are using it more often. It's called tapu takas, right? And a few banks are offering that. There's not just one. There's a few different institutions that offer that. The most famous one is tapu takas. So you can use this service. Basically, it's an escrow account. It holds your money. So you transfer the money to tapu takas, and you let tapu takas know, this intermediary bank, you let them know that I am buying this property and the details of the title deed. And then you mention the name of the person, which is obviously listed on the title deed. And you mention your details and then the dates and so on, right? So the bank holds this money, you transfer the money, deposit the money in their account, you transfer it to them directly online. It's in their account. They hold it safely, right? They hold it for you. And the owner also gets a notification that, yes, you have transferred the money. So the money is there. Then the owner is comfortable, you're comfortable, right? You both go to the title deed office, you conduct the transfer. The title deed officer asks you, hey, have you paid the guy? Yes, I've paid him. I've done the transaction. It's in tapu takas. It's there. Done. Okay, so you agree, everything checks the paperwork, everything checks out. Great. Now, as soon as the title deed is registered in your name, the transfer takes place. Then the bank, tapu takas service, gets a notification, and they transfer that money that was in escrow, transfers it to the owner of the property. So that's how it works. If the title deed does not get registered in your name for some reason, let's say, I don't know, your appointment, or there's an emergency, you have to leave the country, and that money is in escrow. So what happens then is that after that time period, you have to give a time period for that. So after that time expires, that money just comes back to your account, is transferred back to your account without any penalties or anything like that. They do charge a small service fee. I believe it's 70 Turkish lira or something like that. So they do charge a small fee, and other than that, it's basically you get all your funds back. So that was the point for the money transfer and the title deed office covered in one, right? Now, what about the taxes? There are taxes that need to be paid for the title deed transfer to take place. So that is one thing that needs to be mentioned here. How much taxes do I need to pay while buying property, right? So here, there is something called the title deed tax. This tax is actually 4%. The buyer pays this tax, right? Now, you might have heard that, hey, it's 2% by the buyer, 2% by the seller, right? Why am I paying 4%? Why is it? So what happens in Turkey is that generally, in basically all the regions, mainly, the buyer pays this 4%, right? That's generally accepted, even though officially it's 2%. What happens is that you negotiate for the price of the property, right? The seller of the property, the actual owner, doesn't want to deal with all the taxes and that stuff. Like, he just wants, so whatever it is you're negotiating for that property, you have to keep in your mind that, hey, I'm going to be paying the closing costs, right? So I'm going to be paying the commissions if I'm using somebody, the lawyer fees, and I'm going to be paying the title deed taxes, right? So there will be a closing cost associated with you purchasing the property. So you keep that in mind while you're negotiating, or your lawyer negotiating, your consultant negotiating on your behalf. So they will be keeping that in mind, and they will be using that as a sort of leverage, as a card. So while negotiating, that comes into play, right? So who pays it? It just falls, the actual physical act of paying it falls on the behalf of the buyer, the entire 4%. But in actual reality, the onus of the actual funds, where the money comes from, is sort of, it all plays down to the negotiation that happens in between the buyer and the seller. So that is about the title deed tax. The other thing I want to mention here about the title deed taxes is the declaration of the amount, how much you're paying taxes on. A lot of times you'll notice that you might have heard that that some of the owners have had a history of under declaration to avoid paying high taxes. They have declared it as less. So a property which is, let's say, 5 million Turkish liras is being declared as a 2 million Turkish lira property, from way back. It just has been going as a cycle. It's always been underdeclared, then the new owner underdeclares it too, and then the following owner. So these type of properties which are underdeclared are usually not most cases they're not viable for citizenship, because they have not crossed the 5 years capital gains period. So usually they are in that first 5 years, and that's why the owner is unsure about the tax situation. Is the owner of the property doesn't want to pay tax on the entire, let's say, 3.5, 4 million Turkish liras. The owner doesn't want to pay the taxes on the full amount, right? So the owner might ask you that, hey, do you want to pay the taxes? They might ask that, and you might say, yeah, I'll pay for it. I want to get my citizenship, and I don't mind paying the extra. You give me a little bit of a discount. I'll cover the, so there's a lot of things that can happen there. Now, I'm not in any way, shape, or form, endorsing or promoting this action of underdeclaration. This is just the case that's happening in Turkey. I'm just stating it. This is what happens, and that's just the way it is at this time, right? So hopefully that gets resolved. That's just the way it is right now. Now comes the question of, do you work with an agent or without an agent, right? Let me give you an overview about this whole agent situation, right? So there's two types of agents normally in real estate. There's a buyer's agent on one side, and then there's a seller's agent, right? So you're probably very familiar with the concept of a seller's agent when we talk about agents, right? Unless you're, it depends where you're watching this from. If you're watching it from North America, I mean, personally, I know that in North America, this concept of buyer's agent is there. Like in Canada, we have this. But again, a lot of people might still not be familiar with this concept, right? In Turkey, you're mainly dealing with seller's agents. There isn't really much concept of a buyer's agent. You do have lawyers that specialize in real estate, right? And that might be something that you might want to consider using, right? These lawyers charge you anywhere between $800 to $3,000, depending on the lawyer, right? So depending on the lawyer or the law firm that you're using, they will charge you a fee for their services and to act on your behalf, to do all the research and the consultancy they provide, right? So sometimes they also charge you based on the purchase value of the property. On the actual, they'll charge you a percentage of the value of the property itself. Whoever you decide to work with, please ensure that their credentials are valid. If they are agents, they're licensed to practice real estate in that region. And they have the necessary experience and expertise to do real estate consultancy. If you're using lawyers, ensure that they have, again, the necessary license to practice law in that city. And also they are specialized in real estate, not specialized in family law or criminal law or corporate law, whatever it is, right? So ideally, they should be specialized in real estate. So if you're dealing with citizenship applications or citizenship investment program, you should be dealing with lawyers who are specifically specialized in dealing with that area. A lawyer which tells you that I know, I do everything. I can do it from A to Z. That is usually a red flag. So be careful and stay away from agents or lawyers who say that they just do every single type of law and they can handle every situation, right? Unless they have a team of lawyers and of course, that they have a specialized person for real estate and they've got a specialized person for citizenship and so on. That's fine. Now, can you work without an agent, a buyer's agent, or without a lawyer? Can you just go and buy a property? Yes, you can. You can do that for sure. You can go find the property directly. You can sometimes even do it without a seller's agent. You can actually find the property from the owner. Now, how often is that possible? Rarely, because usually in 95 or 98% of the cases, the properties are listed by a specific agency. I'm talking about secondhand properties, right? If it's a new property, it's either listed by an agency or it's listed by a builder directly. But sometimes the builders also don't want to deal with this whole process, so they focus on the building and they will contract a agency to do the actual marketing and buying the selling of this property. So in case you are going the solo route, please ensure that you do have, you've done a lot of the phone work and you've done all the research, and just stay careful, extra careful. You might want to consider hiring a translator as well, because all the documents are in Turkish. The ministries, all these official places you will go to, they, pretty much they will only speak Turkish. So you will need to have a translator if you're going through this process. So now for number 5, buying remotely. The other issue that comes up in real estate is buying real estate remotely in Turkey. Is it possible? Sure, yes, it's possible. Let's say you're really busy in your home country, you just can't get the vacation time, or you're managing a business, or you've got family commitments, you can't make the time, but you don't want to miss out and you just want to get this thing handled. You want to get your property purchased and you want to get into the market ASAP, right? So one thing you have to be sure about if you're doing this, if you're going the remote option, you need to be sure about the company or the consultant or the lawyer you're dealing with. They have to be very experienced and reliable, because you are putting a lot of power and trust in their hands. So they will be selecting the property, they'll be conducting the purchase, they'll be handling the money, they'll be transferring the title deed information to you, to your name. There's a lot of things involved there. So you need to be pretty sure about them before you hand over that responsibility or you consider this option of buying remotely. So let's say you've decided, you found the right company, the right person to do it, and you want to go ahead and do that. So how do you do that? The way you do it is you get a power of attorney, right? And you assign them that power of attorney to go for specific purposes. The power of attorney for specific purposes, the specific purpose is to buy a property on your behalf, to register it in your name, to open like utilities on your behalf for that specific property, right? And so on. So those type of things which are related to buying real estate and getting it in operational order. In some cases, even opening up a bank account on your behalf. So how do you get that power of attorney? If you are in X country, how do you get a power of attorney that will be applicable and can be used in Turkey? So you have to go to the Turkish embassy in your country and get the power of attorney from there. So you get an appointment. In some cases, you have to hire a authorized translation company that goes with you to get the power of attorney for specific purposes of buying property. You should indicate that to them. And of course, the person you're dealing with in Turkey will also guide you on that front. So once you have that taken care of, the power of attorney, you DHL that, FedEx that back to Turkey, to the consultant or lawyer's office. And then you can either transfer the funds to your assigned attorney, or you may have them open a bank account in your name and then transfer the funds to that account. So the transfer of funds is from your account in your home country to your account in Turkey. Once this is finalized, the funds are available, and the properties have been selected, and you've given the green light, and the due diligence and all that stuff has been done, property appraisal has been done, then you can transfer the funds to using either tapu takas service or direct transfer. And in this case, you might want to use tapu takas to be on the safer side. So once that's done, the attorney will go to the registration title deed office, and will meet with the owner and get the transfer done with the officers. The money will be then transferred to them automatically. So that's the way you can do a remote purchase without even being in Turkey from beginning to end. And that's it, folks, for today. And that's how you basically purchase a property in Turkey, whether it's remote or whether it's in person. That's the process that you go through. Don't forget to click like, subscribe, and comment below questions, suggestions. If you like this video, don't forget to hit like and do subscribe. And please go ahead and give me further suggestions, feedback in the comments. All right, see you next time. Take care.